Guys, now please confirm to me. All of you get my voice on screen. Those who are attending in online. Am I audible, guys? Now please respond to me. Right, nice. Fine, sir. Now let us check this the content here what I discussed there in the last session. Just the basic overview of this Spring Boot I have given in the last session. Just what are the topics that I am going to discuss there inside the Spring Boot up to this points only here we have discussed there. All right, sir. Now once again I'm telling there, then I'm giving clarity on it. So daily classroom notes, if you want to get it, no, just directly take this URL. Through this URL, we are able to get daily classroom notes. Then better to take the screenshot of this link, https:// tinyurl.com slash springboot notes. Like this here, we are able to get. Now, about these classes, if you have any queries, no, directly you can talk with Hemant. Hemant is our admin, is available in this number, right? So the content here I've given about this. Okay, fine. Nearly almost all 19 topics here I'm going to cover, right? Introduction, Spring about features, and so on and so on and so on and so on. There we are going to see like what there up to Spring security. Okay, all right, sir. Then one more point here I'm telling there. At present, I'm taking these sessions at 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. But in the future, I'm going to take your classes from 7 to 8 p.m. max. 7 to 8 p.m. Okay. In the introduction, just I covered only 2 points, sir. What are the 2 points here? Spring Boot is an open source and a Java-based framework developed by POCL team. We already aware about it that open source software. Spring Boot is an open source. What's the meaning of it? No, along with the Spring Boot product, source code will come. When source code is available there, that we can customize it as per our requirement, that we can modify as per our requirement. So this is the meaning of like what the source code. Okay, open source. Next one, Java based framework. The Spring Boot was totally designed on the top of what there Java only. Next one is the Spring Boot makes it easy to create standalone production grade Spring applications that we can just run. That's it. Okay, guys, now just I want to give some explanation regarding this. Now try to understand it clearly. Spring Boot makes it easy to create standalone after that production grade. Standalone, then after that production grade. What exactly the meaning of standalone is related to the Spring Boot and a production grade? These two things here we are going to understand. Clearly, I'm going to discuss with you. Observe carefully. Now, tell me, guys. All of you now tell me, guys. Then before moving on to this point, first of all, tell me if you have a project, then what are the various activities that you are going to do with respect to the project, or if you want to prepare a project and if you want to execute the project, what exactly the activities here we are going to prepare there? Now tell me what activities here we are going to prepare. Now tell me first of all. I'm going to list out all the things, just for your understanding purpose. I'm going to list out all the things, observe carefully. The first one is like what I'm telling there. We have to create a project. Then after that, we have to write code. After writing the code, what next one here? We have to pack the project. Pack the project in the form of jar or var or EAR. Jar file or var file or EAR. Jar in the sense Java classes in a simple pack. Web application is simple pack, and EAR enterprise application in a simple pack. We have to create it. Then after that, we have to start server. After starting the server, deploy web application, deploy application server. Then after that, create endpoint. to access the application. Right, sir? After creating endpoint to access the application, what next one? Endpoint in the sense like what I'm telling there, the terminology is somewhat new for you. Then the endpoint in the sense some URL to access the application. It's okay. Then after creating that, then what next one here? No, after that we have to create the endpoint to access the application. Then after that execute the application. Execute the application. Right, sir. Like this and so on. So many things are going to be available. Right. Create project, write code. It's okay. This is common. Package, start server, deploy application in server, create endpoints or URL to access the application, and make ready that application for live. Live in the sense what their execution. Execute the application. These many steps are going to be happen. Okay, guys. Now, first of all, tell me, all of you are getting clarity up to these points. No, all of you are getting clarity on these points. No, first of all, tell me, everybody, are you okay? What we are going to do with respect to the project here? Okay, right, clear. Now, next one more point here I'm asking there. Now, try to answer for it. What is standalone application? Any idea? What is standalone application, guys? Now tell me. You only tell me. What is standalone application? Come on, guys. What is standalone application? Without using client server architecture, if you prepare and execute any application without using client server architecture, if you prepare and execute any application, then that application is called what there? A standalone application. Okay, they can run a program independently without lot of complexity. It's okay. The point is what there, without having any client server architecture, in a single program, if you provide the application logic and if you execute that application, that is called as what there, standalone application. No distributed environment. Application logic is not distributed. Without having distributed environment, if we prepare and execute any application, then that is called as what there, standalone application. All right, now all of you understand this point clearly what I'm telling now. What is Spring Boot? What is Spring Boot application? If you understand it, no, Spring Boot application is a standalone application. Guys, now repeat it what I'm telling there. What is Spring Boot application? Spring Boot application is what there? A standalone application. A standalone program. Spring Boot application is what there? A standalone program. What that standalone program will do now? Inside the standalone program in the sense automatically here we are going to understand like what there. Just here we can understand it now. The public, for example, public class test or maybe Spring Boot application. Spring Boot application, public class Spring Boot application, for example, public static void main string array args is available. String array args is available. Okay. Now inside this Spring Boot application, now here observe carefully, there is a predefined class here we are going to use. There is a predefined class here we are going to use. What is that predefined class here we are going to use there? I will give that information to you. Now try to understand it. Inside this Spring Boot class now, there I'm going to provide Spring application dot run method here I'm going to call. What method here I'm going to call this? Spring application dot run method. Definitely here we have to understand it clearly. What we are going to provide the Spring application dot run method here we are going to prepare. Whenever we are providing Spring application dot run method, observe carefully, Spring application dot run method, for example, inside this some other content here we are going to provide that I'm not going to think about it now. Spring application dot run method, if you provide now, the Spring application dot run method, what it will do now, it will pack the project, it will start the server, it will deploy the application server, and it will create endpoints to access the application and make ready that application to execute. Make it the application to execute. That all these steps could be done by the Spring application dot run method. This is Spring Boot project actually. For example, all right, sir. Now is a Spring Boot program, a Spring Boot application here now. Now tell me, guys. Now this is what class? Now main class or not? First of all, tell me What program it is? No, it's a standalone program or any other program, guys? Now tell me, it is a standalone program or not? Come on, everybody must respond for my question. No, what type of program it is? No, what type of application it is? No, it is a standalone application or not? It is a standalone application or not? Right. It's a standalone application. Why? Because it's a main class and main method is available. Inside this main method, when we execute this particular line now, spring application.run method, it will take the responsibility of packing the program application and start the server, deploy the application to the server, creating endpoints and make ready that program to execute. So that everything is going to be done here. So this standalone program provides everything about the enterprise application. The Spring Boot is prepared like this. Spring Boot has given an option to the developer, prepare a main class and main method. Inside this main class and main method, use a Spring application.run method. That the Spring application.run method will take the responsibility of providing the total infrastructure for the enterprise application. Spring application.run method will provide the complete environment for enterprise application. But now what we are preparing now, the Spring Boot project here we prepared with the like what there standalone. It is a standalone program. That standalone program, if you execute this standalone program, then it will take the responsibility of providing the total enterprise environment. If we execute this standalone application, it will take the responsibility of providing the complete enterprise application environment. So that is the reason why in the second step what it is provided here, Spring Boot makes it easy to create what? A standalone application, standalone Spring application that we can just run. If we run this, the total enterprise environment here we are able to get. That's the point here we have to understand. Then what next one, sir? Production grade. What is the meaning of this production grade now? Now guys, I'm going to ask one more question to you. Now try to answer for it. For example, forget about all these steps. No, for example, now I'm going to talk about some few more points. No, observe carefully. One company has given a project for me. That means one client has given a project for me. I completed that project. Maybe 3 to 4 years of time I have taken. I completed that project. Okay. After that, I submitted my project. I delivered my project to the client. Clear. After that, being the responsible developer or being the responsible person in the company, what support I have to provide to the company after delivering my product? What support I have to provide there? What support my company has to provide to the client? After delivering the product, what support my company has to provide to the client? Application anyway we provided there, then some support is required. What type of support my company has to provide to the client? Yeah, maintenance by good patches, maintenance, production support. That's nice, perfect. Yeah, all these many things must be provided by our company. Got it or not? uh, okay, right, your answers are right. Bug fix, any new changes request, and maintenance, it's okay. Maybe in the point of maintenance, now tell me, monitoring is one of the phase or not? In the point of maintenance, monitoring the application is one of the phase or not? Come on guys, everybody, monitoring the application is one of the phase or not? Okay, nice. Monitoring is the point here I'm taking now. Monitoring, nice. Inside the monitoring, what we are going to check, guys? Now tell me. Inside the monitoring, what we are going to check now? Now tell me. What monitoring here we are going to provide? Any idea? Yeah, perfect. Ishank Gupta. Application health. Nice. Application health. What is the meaning of this application health? No. For example, I prepared one enterprise application. Inside the enterprise application, maybe 100 services are running. In my enterprise application, 100 services are running. Right? Every time I have to check whether all 100 services are running properly or not. Or any one service is down or not. Or any one service is up or not. Or how many services are down, how many services are up, and which services are not activated properly, which services are not up properly. The total analysis here we required or not? The total monitoring, that application health we have to check or not? Time to time we have to check the application health or not? That services which are up and which are down are must be checked by the this checked by this monitor team or not, that the maintenance team or not? Come on, guys. I'm asking this question to you. Now try to answer for it. Yes, definitely. Application health. Here we have to check. Health. Application health we have to check. That's nice. After this, after checking that application health now, metrics we have to find or not. Metrics for the projects. Metrics. How many threads are running and which threads are running. How many resources are running. Then which resources are running properly. That metrics here we have to provide or not. Come on. Metrics here we have to provide or not. Not only that, preparing, whether we are preparing the endpoints or not, right? Activate might be endpoints are created or not, whether we are going to access that endpoints or not. So all the things here we are going to check. No, right, sir. Now to provide all these things, Spring Boot has provided a separate topic. The topic is what their actuators. Spring Boot has given a separate feature to check metrics of the application, to check the health of the application, and everything. A separate feature was provided with Spring Boot, that is called as like what their actuators is one of the feature here inside the Spring applications. No, through this when actuators topic is available inside the Spring Boot, no, automatically the Spring applications are like what their production grade applications. Automatically the Spring applications are what their production grade applications. Production grade application in the sense, the production, that application is in production, that Spring applications production with the metrics feature, with the health checkup feature, that means with the actuators, with what their actuators now, right sir? Now these production grade features are going to be embedded with the Spring applications by Spring Boot. Because of that reason, Spring Boot makes it easy to create standalone and a production grade Spring application. Normal Spring application is not having that health check option and metrics option and all these things. But if we use Spring Boot now, Spring Boot will prepare the Spring application with the production grade features. Spring Boot will prepare the Spring application with the production grade features. Then what is the meaning of this production grade here now? Here the production grade here we are going to understand like what there. The first one is like what is the meaning of this production grade here? Like metrics inclusion maybe, and a health check maybe, and so on and so on and so on. So many things are available. But how is it possible for Spring Boot to provide this production grade now? That Spring Boot is having a feature internally. That feature is what their actuators. Spring Boot actuators are available. That actuators are providing some predefined endpoints to check the health of the application, and to check the metrics of the application, and to check the analysis, some memory analysis, maybe some other analysis. Here we are able to get through this actuators topic now. That actuators are providing like what their endpoints, predefined endpoints. By using the predefined endpoints now, we are able to get some details about our project. That is the reason why Spring Boot is preparing production grade Spring applications. Got it? All of you are getting clarity on these points now? If you're not giving response, how am moving forward there? Right, sir. It's okay, fine. This is exactly the point number 2 I'm discussing with you. This is like what the point number 2. Okay, fine. Next one is another important point. Okay, now here we have to understand now. It simplifies. It simplifies bootstrapping and it simplifies bootstrapping and development of the Spring application. It simplifies the bootstrapping and development of the Spring applications. Right, sir. First of all, bootstrapping, Spring Boot. The name itself is giving clarity. Spring Boot. Now again, I'm talking about what there bootstrapping. Bootstrapping. Hmm. Guys, I think might be you are the users of Windows operating system. Am I right? Come on, guys. You are the users of Windows operating system. Am I right? No response, guys. That's perfect. You are the users of Windows operating system. That's nice. If you are the users of Windows operating system, can you tell me the differences between Windows 10 and Windows 11? Windows 8, Windows 10, Windows 11. Can you tell me the differences now? So what do you observe actually? Your observation, I'm asking there. I don't require that operating system level thread processing, that kind of review I don't require. Just I required what we use to identify the difference between Windows 8 and Windows 10 and Windows 11. At present, Windows 11 is going on. What you identify the difference now? GUI different, perfect guys. Now easily we can identify GUI difference. UI changes, it's okay. And then apart from that, any other one? User friendly, it's okay. UI part is very good, it's okay. But I required one more point apart from this. The new features are okay. I'm not going to talk about what new features are available, then what user friendly UI part is available. I don't require that. But one more point I required from all of you. Sachin has given right answer. I'm expecting that same answer. Yeah, right. Ishank has given right answer. Yeah, is a touch feature is there or not? Even I'm not thinking about it. Right, sir. What I'm asking there, performance definitely good, but apart from this performance, no, starting time, booting time, startup time or booting time. Now tell me, where booting time is very less and where booting time is more. Now tell me. Yeah, booting time in the sense startup of the application. Windows 9, Windows 10, Windows 11. If you compare these two, no, in which case the booting time is very less. Now tell me in Windows 10 or Windows 11. In Windows 10 and Windows 11, two things are available. Then where boot time is very less. Easily, where easily that Windows operating system is going to be started. Definitely 11. Definitely 11. Just when we click on switch button, automatically Windows 11 will come for us. Automatically we are able to get what there Windows 11. Yeah, that here we understand clearly. Windows 11 here we are able to get automatically. Clear? Now the point is what? Simple analysis. If you prepare a Spring application, if you execute the Spring application, that Spring application will take a more boot time. Spring application will take more boot time to make ready the Spring application. When we execute the application, it will take a lot of time to complete its booting part. To load that application will take a lot of time, simply speaking. To load the Spring application, it may take a lot of time. But if you prepare the Spring Boot application, if you prepare the enterprise application by using Springboard, then it reduces the total boot time of the Spring application. It reduces the total boot time of the Spring application. So that is that another advantage here we have to understand with the Springboard. Now, Springboard, Springboard, what it simplifies the bootstrapping. Bootstrapping in the sense like what that it reduces the boot time. That means it optimizes the boot time for the Spring application. That's the point here we have to understand. Next one, guys, after this. What next one? No? Development simplifies what? Simplifies bootstrapping. Means that simplifies the booting of the Spring application. We understood that. Next one is what there? Simplifies development of the Spring application. Now that point also here we have to understand. Simplifies development of the Spring application. Okay, right, sir. Now I'm going to ask one more question to you. Now try to answer for it. You are going to understand it effectively. Now try to answer for it. No, now tell me. Previously, we prepare the applications without using frameworks. Am I right or not? Come on, guys. Before the Spring framework, before the frameworks, now we are able to prepare the applications. All right. What is the purpose of the frameworks? Why we are using frameworks to prepare the applications? Now tell me. For what purpose we are preparing the applications, guys? Now tell me. No response. For what purpose we are preparing the application? Or for what purpose we are using frameworks? Now tell me. What is the purpose of the frameworks? Frameworks purpose I am asking there. Yeah, Radhika, give a nice answer. For ease of use, built-in modules ready-madely available. Okay, nice. Yeah, the framework's main intention is what there. In general, if you observe the application to application in enterprise level, from application to application in enterprise level, one enterprise application to another enterprise application, 70% of the implementation is common. Only 30% of the implementation is varied. Am I right or not? Yeah, Suraj Singh, right. Now, first of all, tell me, all of you now tell me, Shivani, right. We can do development for such and right. Now understand my point here. If we observe one enterprise application to another enterprise application, 70% of the implementation is common. Only 30% of the implementation is varied. Am I right or not? Please confirm to me. Come on. Come on, guys. 70% of the implementation is common and 30% of the implementation is variable. If you take any MVC application, controller component is very same. Controller components are very same. Understand it clearly. And some services, middleware services are very same, like what their data validations may be, internationalization may be, like data wrapping may be, like different services are available. Security may be. All these are like what they're common from application to application. This controller component and services will take nearly 70% of the implementation. That is common. So what frameworks are doing there? Which part is a common from application to application? Then frameworks are providing that common implementation as a predefined one. Frameworks are providing that 70% common implementation as what the ready-made one. Then what developers are doing? The simply developers are using that existing 70% implementation and they're preparing only 30% of their own implementation. Finally, they are going to prepare their projects in a simplified way. Understand it here. Before the frameworks, that 100% implementation the developer must provide. But with the help of the framework, 70% of the implementation is taken as a ready-made one from the framework, and 30% of the implementation only he is preparing in his own way. So that is the benefit of the framework. The developers are having a very simplified. Developers are preparing the enterprise applications in very simplified manner after the availability of the frameworks only. Yes, sir. Got it? What I am telling there? Okay, fine. Now, one of the now tell me any very good framework here out of all the frameworks. So, which framework is very good nowadays? Which framework is very good nowadays? Come on, everybody. Arey yaar, now we are in a Spring Boot class. That's the reason why now we are giving answers like what is Spring Boot now. What I am asking there, which framework is very good now? Forget about Spring Boot. Still, I am not talking about Spring Boot now. Which framework is very good at present now? React JS. Arey sir, we are in like what Java, right? Why we are thinking about React JS now? I'm asking there. Spring is very good framework or not? I think you forgotten about Spring now. Spring is a framework or not? Spring is a framework or not? Yeah, Spring is a very good framework. Spring is a very good framework which simplifies the total enterprise application development. 70% of the implementation is ready inside the Spring framework. Developers have to prepare only 30% of their own implementation over the 70% now. Then automatically Spring is simplifying our application development. Yes, sir, got it? What I'm telling there? Okay, now observe carefully. With the help of the Spring, developers are getting 70% of the ready-made implementation and 30% of the implementation they have to prepare. Am I right or not? Now, still what I'm telling there in this case now, developers are still feeling difficulty while implementing 30% of the implementation. Actually, frameworks are providing 70% predefined implementation. Developers are taking that advantage from the framework. But still, developers have to prepare 30%. While preparing the 30% of implementation, developers are feeling difficulty. Exactly, in this particular situation, Spring Boot is simplifying even the 30% of implementation also. Spring Boot is simplifying what there? The 30% of the implementation from the developers also. Now, what is the status now? If you are trying to prepare applications by using Spring Boot now, anyway, 70% is provided by Spring internally. Apart from the 70%, out of 30%, 15 to 20% of the implementation, out of 30%, 15 to 20% of the implementation is again provided by Spring Boot. Again 15 to 20% of the implementation is provided by Spring Boot. Overall, in the 100% of the implementation, 70 plus 20, 90% of the implementation is provided by Spring Boot directly. Only 10% of the implementation the developers have to take. Only 10% of the implementation the developers have to provide. That's it. The remaining 90% of the implementation for the enterprise applications are provided by Spring Boot. Out of this 90, 70 from what their Spring, 20 from what their Spring Boot. That's it. Now automatically, now tell me guys, Spring is providing 70% of ready-made, but Spring Boot is providing 90% as ready-made. Automatically developers are going to use what framework they are going to use now? Tell me. Developers are going to use what? They want to get 70% or 90% as a ready-made one. What they want to get 70% or ready 90% now, definitely 90%, definitely 90%. So Spring Boot is providing 90% of the development as a ready-made one and giving an option for the developer up to only 10% of the implementation. Now tell me, overall it simplifies bootstrapping and development of the Spring application or not? Now tell me now. And development of the Spring application or not? Exactly. Spring Boot simplifies bootstrapping and development of the Spring application. That is the point here we have to understand clearly. Right, sir. Now, observe carefully. Now, the similar point, same point, once again, I'm going to provide there in a clear-cut manner. Now, observe carefully. Spring Boot was designed. Spring Boot was designed on the top of existing Spring framework. For what purpose? Spring Boot is nothing, sir. Spring Boot is what? There Spring framework only. Spring Boot was designed on the top of existing Spring framework. On the top of Spring framework to simplify and speed up. To simplify and speed up the Spring application development. That's it. All of you are getting clear now. Observe carefully. What is Spring Boot? If people are asking this question now, you have to say that Spring Boot is nothing, sir. It's internally what there Spring only. Spring Boot is a Spring only. Spring Boot application is Spring application only. Has got it? What I am telling there? Spring Boot application is what there? Spring only. Understand it clearly. That Spring Boot was designed on the top of existing Spring framework to simplify and speed up the Spring application development. Again, I am telling there, Spring Boot is what there? Spring Boot is totally Spring application, but a layer is provided by Spring Boot to simplify the Spring application development. Spring Boot is Spring application only, but a separate layer is available on the top of the Spring application to simplify the Spring application development. Not more than that. Okay, Spring Boot is not any other framework. Spring Boot is what there? Extension of the Spring framework only. Is a layer over the Spring framework. That's it. Okay, right, sir. One more point here I'm telling there. Spring Boot. Spring Boot can be used to. Spring Boot can be used to prepare the Spring applications either by using Java. Spring Boot can be used to prepare the Spring applications either by using Java or by using Groovy. Groovy language. Groovy is also one of the languages related to Java, similar to Java. Spring Boot can be used to prepare the Spring applications either by using Java or by using what their Groovy. Of course, we are not going to use Groovy for our applications. Mainly we are going to think about Java, but its capabilities what there. Either by using Java or by using Groovy script, we are able to prepare what applications? No, Spring applications. That Spring Boot is provided now. But Groovy is mainly for simplifying the Java code actually. That means Groovy is for what purpose there? It's not like simplifying the Java. Without using Java, we are going to use Groovy script now to prepare the Spring application. But Groovy script is almost all similar to Java kind of syntaxes only. Okay, then at least one program we are going to see there. No need to worry for it. But if it is not outdated, definitely I will show that one program in the future here now. But overall, Spring Boot is having two options to prepare Spring applications. One is with Java code, another one is with what their Groovy script. That's the point here we have to understand. Okay, sir. Good. Next, one more point here I'm telling there. This is another point here we have to recognize. Spring Boot simplifies application development. Spring application development. Spring Boot simplifies the Spring application development by having all the configurations as a defaults. All the configurations as what the defaults. Spring Boot simplifies Spring application development by having all the configurations as what their defaults. Guys, now I'm talking one more point here. Now observe carefully. One more simple point here I'm telling you. Observe carefully. Is it possible to prepare any Spring application without having Spring configuration file? I'm asking this question to you. Now try to answer for it. Is it possible to prepare any Spring application without having configuration file? Max, at least we have to prepare one configuration file. At least we have to provide at least one or two number of tags we have to prepare. In the rare cases, one or two cases might be we are able to use it, no, but maximum in Spring application essence definitely configuration file is required. Even though we are using annotations, no, that annotations must be enabled or not. Definitely. So because of that reason, what I'm telling there, we need what there configuration file. Okay, that configuration file is an XML file or not? Come on guys, configuration file is what there is an XML file. Am I right or not? Okay, in that XML file, all Spring configurations we are going to provide. In that XML file, we are going to provide all the configurations. Example I'm telling there. If you're trying to prepare Spring web module, if you're trying to prepare Spring web module application, there what we have to configure, no, all controller components we have to configure, all bean components we have to configure. The next one is what their handler mapping we have to configure, and view resolver we have to configure. Handler mapping, view resolver, both must be configured or not? Come on guys, now tell me. Handler mapping and view resolver must be configured or not? No response. In a Spring web module, handler mapping and view resolver both must be configured or not? Definitely both must be configured. Okay, now once again I'm telling there, in a Spring web MVC application, handler mapping and view resolver both are mandatory or not? Come on guys, in a Spring application, Spring web module, in Spring web MVC application, handler mapping and view resolver are mandatory. They are mandatory. Without them we are not going to prepare the application. They are mandatory. Once they are mandatory, then why we are not going to get them automatically inside the Spring framework? Why we are providing explicit configuration? Once they are mandatory for every Spring application, why we are not expecting them as a default support from the Spring framework? Why we are providing their configurations inside this Spring configuration file? But still we are configuring them inside the Spring configuration file or not? Once they are common for every application, why you are not expecting them from the Spring framework by default? But why we are providing separate configuration inside the Spring configuration file? Understand it now? Exactly. Now the Spring Boot has done the same thing. Spring Boot has done the same thing. Spring Boot has given answer for this question. What Spring Boot has done there? Okay, in every Spring web MVC applications, handler mapping and view resolver, these are mandatory. Once these are mandatory, then Spring Boot made them as a default one. Spring Boot made them as an internal one. Spring Boot made them as what they, these configurations as by default one. Developer, it is not giving any option to the developer to configure them explicitly. It made all these kind of configurations as what there as a default one. When we start the Spring Boot application, automatically all the default configurations here we are able to get. Got it? Guys, all of you are getting clarity on this point now? What is the specialty of the Spring Boot? Are you understanding it now? What configurations are common to every application? Previously in Spring application, we provided them explicitly. In that scenario, Spring Boot made all these all these common configurations, made as what their default configurations inside the Spring Boot. Almost all 90% of the work is reduced to the developer or not? Almost 90% of the work is reduced for the developers or not, because of having this type of default configurations now. That is the main point about like what there Spring Boot. Spring Boot simplifies Spring application development by having all the configurations as what there defaults, by default one as a defaults. All right sir, now some other point here I am telling to you. Spring Boot reduces the application development time. Definitely, already said you, Spring reduces 70% of the work for the developer. Spring Boot reduces 90% of the developer work. Automatically it reduces the application development time. Next one is, when application development time is reduced there, Spring Boot improves the applications productivity. Come on guys, now tell me what is this productivity actually. Spring Boot reduces the application development time. We know that Spring reduces 70% of the 70% of the implementation for the developers, but Spring Boot reduces 90% of the implementation for developer. Definitely, development time will be reduced. When development time is reduced, automatically what it is going to be increased there? Productivity is going to be increased. What is the meaning of productivity? Now tell me. What do you think about productivity? What do you think about productivity, guys? No, just I'm waiting for a response only. What is this productivity? It's a common word, regular word. No response. Yeah. Ishank has given right answer, no? Almost all the members are giving right answers for this question. Yeah. Less time, more implementation. Less time, more work. Less time, more work. Less time, more work. Less time, more work. That's it. That's the meaning of productivity. When development time is reduced there, automatically more work, more implementation will be done within the less time here. Automatic productivity is going to be prepared. A simple example I'm telling there, if we without using Spring framework, if we prepare the application in a 5 years span, no, only one project you are going to prepare. If you're not using any framework. Okay, if you use Spring framework, no, in a 5 year span, only three projects you are going to prepare. Okay, three projects you are going to prepare. But if you use Spring Boot, no, in a 5 years span, maybe five projects you are going to prepare. Got it? What I'm telling there. If you use Spring Boot, no, within five in the same 5 years span, then maybe 5 to 6 projects are going to be prepared. That's the point I'm telling there. Okay, right, sir. Now observe carefully. Now here itself, then people are saying one very good important word, focusing more on business logic. That's nice. Spring Boot. Now here I'm telling this. Spring Boot simplifies the Spring application development by having all the configurations as defaults, and the developers will focus more on the business logic. Developers will focus more on the business logic instead of focusing on the configurations. Guys, now understand this. Now just I want to add this point here to this. Now Spring Boot simplifies Spring application development by having all the configurations as defaults, and the developers will focus more on the business logic instead of focusing on the configurations. Okay, right. Now this also here we are able to say now. All right, application productivity is improved here now. All right, guys, now can you tell me, all of you now tell me, then I'm asking one question to all of you guys. Now tell me, what are the various modules which are available in Spring Framework now? In Spring Framework, what modules are available? Please now list out. AOP module, web module, it's okay then. JDBC, Spring JDBC model, Spring AOP module, okay, and so on and so on and so on and so on. Right, sir. These many modules are available. Okay, all right. Now observe carefully. All these modules are having their own intention, their own functionality, their own requirement. For example, Spring JDBC, what it is actually integrating JDBC application with the Spring. Integrating JDBC application with the Spring. Am I right or not? In providing JDBC code with the Spring application. Next one, Spring ORM module is available. Spring ORM module. Integrating Hibernate applications with the Spring. Integrating Hibernate code with the Spring. Spring Web Module, integrating Struts application with Spring, integrating JSF application with Spring. Yes, sir, got it or not? But in Spring Boot, these many things are available. In Spring, these many modules are available to integrate it. No, but to perform this integration, Spring Boot is simplifying. Spring Boot is simplifying the integration of all these components. Spring Boot is simplifying the integration of all these things. Now that's why I'm giving another point. Can observe carefully. Spring Boot simplifies. Spring Boot, or maybe Spring Boot will provide. Spring Boot provides very simple approaches to integrate Spring Boot application to integrate Spring Boot application with the Spring Boot applications with the Spring ecosystem like Spring JDBC, Spring ORM, Spring like what their ORM, and so on, Spring AOP, and so on and so on and so on. Right, so now observe carefully. Spring Boot provides very simple approaches to integrate Spring Boot applications with the Spring ecosystems like Spring JDBC, Spring ORM, Spring AOP, and so on. That means if we use Spring Boot, no, Spring JDBC content is very simple. If we use Spring Boot, no, Spring ORM content is very simple. Inside the Spring, we are going to provide so many configurations for the ORM. For JDBC, also so many configurations we have to provide, like what? Data source configurations maybe, and JDBC template configurations maybe, or Hibernate template configurations maybe. So many configurations we have to provide inside, like what are the Spring applications while integrating these. But in Spring Boot, that approaches are very simple. Spring Boot is providing very simplified approaches for us now. Right, so now this is exactly the content here we have to understand. Right, observe carefully. I'm going to give one final conclusion, guys, about all these points. One final conclusion here I'm going to provide now. Observe carefully the final conclusion about this Spring Boot here. Observe carefully. Spring Boot follows a principle. What principle it is? No. Observe carefully. Right, sir. Opinionated. Right, sir. What is the spelling? Latin, I will get opinionated defaults configuration. Opinionated defaults configuration approach to reduce to reduce developers efforts to reduce developers efforts, that is Spring Boot avoids writing lots of boilerplate code, comma, annotations, and XML configurations. That's it. Now try to understand as it is what documentation has given, that I am giving there. Now try to understand it clearly. What documentation has given information that I am giving there. Even myself also I forgot some spellings here. Just opinionated. Yet my point is what there? Opinionated. That's the point here. But when any spelling is mistake is available, just we can go for it. Opinionated defaults configuration. Alright. So the point is what? Spring Boot follows the for all these points. Today, whatever the concepts I have discussed up to now, for all these points, the 10th point is a conclusion. 10th point is a conclusion. Even if I talk about the Spring Boot introduction, 100 hours now. Only my Final conclusion is the 10th point only. Spring Boot follows the opinionated defaults configuration approach to reduce developers' efforts. Spring Boot avoids writing lots of boilerplate code, annotations, and XML configurations. That's it. On simple point, I'm telling you, Spring is with XML, but the Spring Boot is without XML. In Spring Boot, we are not going to prepare an XML configuration file. We are not going to use an XML configuration file inside the Spring Boot. Whereas in Spring Framework, we are going to write that XML configurations. Got it, guys? What I'm telling to you. Got it? Fine, sir. Now in Spring Boot, we are not going to see any XML file. Again and again, I'm telling them. Right. Next, one more point. Some another points here I'm telling there. Now observe carefully. Apart from this, 11th point here, what I'm telling there. Spring Boot provides embedded HTTP servers like what there Tomcat, Jetty, Undertow, and so on and so on and so on to develop and test the web applications. Spring Boot provides embedded servers. Spring Boot provides embedded servers like a Tomcat server, Jetty, Undertow, and so on to develop and test the web applications. So Spring Framework doesn't have any of the servers internally, but Spring Boot has its own embedded servers. Internal servers are available. Spring Boot is maintaining internal servers. Like Tomcat is default one. Maximum we are going to get what there Tomcat server. Like Jetty, Undertow, these are the HTTP servers, basic servers. Alright, sir. Now observe carefully. Another point here I'm telling there. Uh, Guys, I'm asking one question to all of you. Now try to answer for it. I prepared one web application, sir. I prepared one web application. Will you execute that web application through command prompt? Will you execute any web application through command prompt? Web application. Will you execute any web application through command prompt? Come on. Of course, we can deploy it max. But now my point is what is just I want to run it. Yeah, simple. For comparison purpose, I am giving there. No. Maximum no. But what I am providing there, now observe carefully. Spring Boot provides CLI. What is that CLI? Command line interface tool to develop and test Spring Boot applications from the command prompt very easily and quickly. CLI, the final point is what the Spring Boot has its own CLI to run the Spring applications and to test the Spring application, to run and test the Spring Boot application. That CLI is one of the concepts. Spring Boot command line interface is available. Okay. Next one is after that Spring Boot has the number of plugins. Spring Boot has the number of plugins to develop. And one more point I'm telling to you guys now, observe carefully. Is it mandatory to use Maven to prepare the Spring applications? Is it mandatory to use Maven to prepare Spring applications? Come on. Everybody respond for me. Is it mandatory to prepare Spring applications? Is it mandatory to use Maven to prepare Spring applications? Is Maven is mandatory for Spring application development? Arey yaar, is Maven is mandatory? Not mandatory. Without Maven also we can prepare Spring applications. Just by adding jar files manually to our path, class path now, we can prepare Spring applications. Maven is not mandatory. Of course, we are going to use IDEs. Eclipse IDE, IntelliJ IDE, we are able to use. Without using Maven, we are able to prepare applications. Maven is a tool. Maven is a tool. It simplifies some part of the development part. It provides some kind of infrastructure for the enterprise applications. It's okay. It will do some automatically some activities. Maven, it's okay, fine. But apart from that, without using Maven also, we can prepare Spring applications. Got it or not? Now tell me, guys. But if you want to prepare Spring Boot application, Maven is mandatory. Spring Boot makes Maven mandatory to prepare Spring applications. Why? In Spring Boot, Maven is mandatory, but in Spring Maven is not mandatory. But in Spring Boot, Maven is mandatory. Why? Why the point is what? Why the point is what? In a Spring application development, Maven is not mandatory in the sense application may be simple, may be difficult, but Spring Boot application must be simple. If Maven is provided there, application development is simple. So Spring Boot makes Maven is mandatory. So it means that simplification is mandatory. Simplification is mandatory with the Spring Boot now. So that is the reason why here what I am telling there, Spring Boot has the number of plugins to develop and test the right, sir. As number of plugins to develop and test the Spring Boot applications using the build tools like Maven and Gradle. Build tools are available. These two are the build tools, Maven and Gradle. So these two are integrated. These two are available internally. Right, sir. These two are existed internally. Spring Boot is internally has what there. Spring Boot was mandatorily maintained. It has minimum. It has mandatorily Maven and Gradle internally to prepare Spring applications. So it means that application development is mandatorily simplified. Inside like what there Spring Boot now. Clear. Next one is Spring Boot has embedded in-memory databases. Spring Boot has embedded in-memory databases. Am I right or not? H2 database. Like what their H2 database. In-memory databases are simple to use. They'll be created at startup of the application. They'll be destroyed at the end of the application. Okay. Now in a simplified point here, final conclusion here I'm telling there. What is a Spring Boot? No. Spring Boot is equal to what points here we are able to provide. Observe carefully. Embedded servers plus embedded databases plus after this. What next one you know? No XML configurations plus what next one here? Annotations, purely annotations. That's it. Now before all these things, Spring application plus Spring Boot is what? Now tell me guys in a simple word, as simple as I'm giving clarity. Spring Boot is what? Spring application plus embedded servers plus embedded databases plus no XML configurations plus annotations. Annotations are also what I'm telling the less annotations, not too many number of annotations. If you are getting any question like what is Spring Boot, will I give answer like this? If I give a question like Spring Boot, what is Spring Boot? What you are able to say? Spring Boot is a Spring application with embedded servers with embedded databases, no XML configurations, and what next one? Less annotations. Clear? Okay, right, sir. So this is the total view about like what the Spring Boot. What is Spring Boot in the sense? These many things here we are going to understand. Clear? That's all, guys. That's all for today. Then tomorrow we'll meet. Tomorrow I'm going to take class definitely. Tomorrow we'll meet, and tomorrow I'll go for continuation part here. Then this is the introduction of the Spring framework, where what I have discussed there. Here we are going to understand it clearly. That means we understood this point now. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot. We'll meet on tomorrow. Yeah, how can we access recordings now? Guys, then regarding this admission process, directly you can contact with Hemant. Hemant will provide the recordings with you regarding this what their access links there he is able to provide to you. Now try to take it. Okay. Yeah, directly you can talk with Hemant. He will provide you. Guys, now within 1 or 2 days of time max links are going to be changed there. Those who are not yet registered, register immediately. Then you are able to get your new link, private link now. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot. We'll meet on tomorrow. Unlimited Hemant, max 1 year. 1 year, more than that also you are able to get. Thank you. Advanced Java batch I'm going to start, but not immediately. At morning time it will come. Advanced Java morning time it will come, but it may take more than 1 month of time. Not immediately. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, good night, good night. Microservices. After the Spring Boot, I will start microservice. That is a different course. Now this is a course for Spring Boot. No, after the Spring Boot, I'll start microservices. Okay, thank you.